Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, Cobalt Mood. I hope everyone had an awesome weekend. I, for one, hit a milestone. I actually socialized, and I wasn't totally dead after. So I ended up meeting up with a friend. Well, actually, rewind a little bit. Saturday? I think it was Saturday. I went to a play, and that was really nice. I figured this is a good introduction back to the social world. I just have to show up, be entertained, and then I can leave after. So anyways, went to a show Saturday night, and then Sunday ended up meeting up with a friend for breakfast. And I didn't realize until we were talking about it, but I haven't seen her in like 4 months. She actually hosted this like really lovely cookie decorating party in December that I went to. And I met a lot of her friends. And then I guess I just fell off the face of the planet, as some people do when they're struggling with depression and grief and all the fun stuff. So we talked about it, and I was basically like thanking her for being so chill about me disappearing. I think I said something like, just so you know, I'm not like hanging out with anybody else. I'm like literally not talking to anybody. So it has nothing to do about like our friendship. And she was like, oh, don't even worry about it. I was not even thinking about it. I actually have friends like all over the world, and so that I'm used to seeing like once every 4 months, so like it's fine. And I was like, oh yay, I can be your like local pen pal. So that was fun. I think that's kind of something for me as I'm recovering from a lot of my friend losses I had last year, and just the dumpster fire that still exists in my brain from that experience. I think as I start attempting to be more social and weaving social things in, I want to build out my community of people that like aren't depending on me. Like I will show up. I am very loyal, and I'm very dependable as a person. But in the past, I've noticed I tended to be with people who were very insecurely attached. And so if I, needed space or dropped off the face of the planet because I was crying in the shower for a week, as you do, they would like want to fight about it or have this big conversation, and they would just internalize that it was about them and not, not about them. So I really liked this particular friend because she was chill about it, because she didn't feel the need to like ask me if like I upset her or vice versa. I'm headed towards simplification. I'm headed towards drama free in my like life that I'm building, right? So it's really important for me to have people that can like manage their own emotions and not like internalize whatever I'm going through. Because like you cannot control when grief pops up, and for me it has been very random. So that's not where I wanted to head for today, but I guess I needed to get it out. Okay, so I did find Sunday to be quite hard to not work. I tried to get out because I did schedule out my listings for both Saturday and Sunday. I really knew that I didn't need to work, but I think I've just been doing it every day, that like it felt wrong to take the time. And so went ahead and hit up a Goodwill on the way home, and then that kind of started it up again for me. So when I got home, I was like, you know what? Let me start on this stock take experience. So I realized as I was looking at the shelves that it's actually like multi-part what I want to do. The main issue I had, and I think this is more like an OCD thing, like I don't really know if it's going to make that big of a difference, but because I started in the corner and built this way when I did media, my shelves are labeled A, B, C, D, and then I started again on this sidewall, and then it went E, F. So F and A were next to each other. And then also I started at eye level, shelf A1, and I went down. So it went to, I believe, 5 at the time. And then when I started building up, since I already started at A1, I had to go backwards. So it was like A1, A0, and then A00. What I was thinking about doing, and I did talk with ChatGPT about it, just trying to like help me see if it was worth doing the extra effort, was One, reorganizing the shelves so they now go A to F, like left to right. And then also rename the shelves. Instead of A00 being the top one, the very top one will be A1 and the very bottom will be A7. And in talking with ChatGPT about it and trying to figure out, like, is it even worth rearranging it? They were like, we do recommend you do that, because if you change your SKU system from A00 to A1 and A0 to A2, you'll probably have less room for error when you are typing in the SKU as you list the items. And it'll also be easier to pick the items because your body will be able to reorient, left to right, where to go. And then thirdly, which is the thing that sold me, they were like, you will decrease cognitive load if you reorganize it in this way. First, I was like, blonde moment. I was like, oh my gosh, they're all full. Like, how am I going to move the shelves? And then I realized I can just leave the shelves where they are and I'll just move the boxes. To help with this, I moved E to one area of my office, all of E boxes, and I moved F to one area, all the boxes. That way I could just shift everything to the left since I had A through D here. So I moved everything to the left slowly, and then I put in E, and then I put in F. So that was helpful in terms of moving. It made it go a lot faster. And then I started then on eBay correcting the SKUs to match the shelves. And I got through like half of A when I realized I'm doing it wrong. And this might be hard to explain, but moving the location of the boxes is not actually a correlation to the SKU. It's like two different systems. So what I needed to relabel was A00 being A1, A0 being A2, and so forth. And then as I was doing that, I realized, okay, wait, A1 exists in my A00 to A5. So I actually need to label them I'm like getting confused trying to explain this. I basically added an additional A to my new SKU system so that I wouldn't write over and have like multiple A1s. So I did that one time for all the shelves. And then I did it again to remove the two A's to one A. And I know that sounds really time consuming, but I just basically had it to like super focus, no sound on. And I had a chart I could follow. So I could see like A00 is now A1. And they also have a bulk editor tool. So I was able to do per shelf as I was moving them. So anyways, I did all that. I was able to see what was in the boxes. And then I realized I needed to pick the orders that I got over the weekend through the old SKU system because they were moved to a different screen, so they're not going to match my new SKU system cluster, I tell you, but it had to be done. So anyways, I went ahead and picked the weekend ones, and then the orders I got on Monday fell into the new one. There were a few orders from today, this morning, that were not in the right box. But because I moved all the boxes individually, I kind of could see what was in them, and I know the relative location of the bigger items. So I was able to find them pretty quickly. But this is just showing me that like I really need to finish this project of skewing the shelves. This weekend, I sold my big items. They were in my markdown sales, and I was so excited to sell them because literally one plush was taking up like half a box. And as I was reskewing them on eBay this weekend, I could see that some shelves only have like 9 items in it because the plush is so big. And I want to work toward each shelf having anywhere from 16, which would be 2 days, to 20 items. And you got to remember, like, all the boxes on the top row are still empty. But my current system with the mix that's there can hold about 500 or so items. If I'm able to push the shelves to hold 16 to 20 items each, I could fit an additional 300 items in this same exact layout without changing anything. Yeah, it's just really important for me to figure out this layout, figure out sell-through, and just get this fine-tuned before I add any additional shelves to the mix. So I don't know when I'm going to do it because while I do have most of this week free from dogs, my next family's on Friday, I did end up taking a house sitting gig for 2 days this week. So that's going to take out 4 to 5 hours of my day. So I have to already rearrange my schedule. But what I want to do is I'm going to go shelf by shelf and I'm going to make sure all the items are listed correctly in eBay. And then I'm going to take one extra step here and I'm going to label the items either A7 box A. I haven't figured out box 1 or box A, but A7 box A or A7 box B. And that way, when I do have more items per shelf, I'll be able to pick just a little bit faster as well, because now I'll know which box to go to. Finding an item right now, it's just a few extra minutes. I mean, if it's in the right box. But if I'm going to double the space eventually, it would make sense to specify the area as much as possible. I know that all of these systems have time attached to it. And so if I can help myself shave off a few seconds, that's going to impact my business largely because all of this compounds. I might only be picking 4 items a day. One day I might be picking 8 items a day, but then that same day I still have to list my 8 items and photo my 8 items. It all adds up, right? So I need to cut where I can now. And I think doing box A versus B is one way for me to shave off some time. It's obviously going to be a very tedious task. And so there's 14 boxes a shelf and I have 7 shelves. It's going to be very tedious, which is why I'm avoiding it. But now that I have moved all of the names and I have done a few rounds of picking and they're not all perfect, I really need to get to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and set a goal for... I'm going to be generous. I'm going to give myself 2 weeks to do this. On to the next week of me verbally processing and figuring out what I need to do. But we'll end on a good note here. These are all my shipments going out. So 3 bags, some big items. I feel really good about that. And I just dream that one day this will be like my everyday. So anyways, all right. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.